I'm serious though. These guitars have some like dramatic lighting.
They
right?
do.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, like you said it earlier, it does look like
It's giving
the
Lighthouse.
It is. I'm gonna take a photo of this so they can see it.
That guitar in particular, just
The far one.
the Les Paul on the left, or the Les Paul copy, it looks cold.
Hold on, this is like you guys got to see this.
Maybe can we overlay that?
Yeah. Okay, was that the intro?
Is that the intro?
I guess.
I guess. What a poor intro.
All right, guys, welcome.
That's so
no,
bad.
do you want that to be the intro? We can have it different.
Doesn't have to be. Can be. Could be. I don't have any better ideas. I'm not good at this yet. So
Okay, neither am I.
all right.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Loud on Set podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts.
Mhm.
Would it be co-host or host?
That's a good question.
That's a question for another day. I'm one of your co-hosts, Austin,
I'm one of your co-hosts, Jonah.
and this is the Loud on Set podcast.
Loud on Set. You made it back. Thank you for coming.
Yes. Well, today we saw the Lighthouse
That was a thing we did today. We
in
saw the
IMAX.
in IMAX.
It was my first time seeing it in first time seeing it in general.
Mhm.
This was how many times have you seen it?
Once, but then like rewatching all the clips, I've seen it like infinite times, pretty much.
Okay.
Can I yap for like a minute before we get into your initial thoughts?
Or were you just going straight in with Lighthouse? Is that?
Oh
the
no, we
goal?
had other things to address.
Okay. Well, let's hold our horses.
Hold your horses.
Consider them held.
Big horse industry is applauding right now.
No, but if you don't know what the Lighthouse is, we're gonna get into our thoughts about it. If you don't know what it is, highly recommend you watch it. It is.
Comes with the heaviest of like content warnings,
yes.
and like
if you want to hear us yap about it, you can, but there will be spoilers.
there will be spoilers. Let's just, if you're sensitive to like any kind of anything,
Yeah,
like I'm audio, visual, gore,
it's all there.
it's all there. So
yeah, but there will be timestamps below. If
Mhm.
you skim through the video, you'll see when we're talking about it.
Yep.
So if you want to avoid spoilers, you can take a look at those.
Yep.
But first of all, we have a couple things to say, don't we?
we do. I don't remember what the first one was, so I'm gonna let
Okay.
you take it.
Yeah. So this is now the second episode.
Yes.
So we posted our first episode last week
Mhm.
with how did I say it last time? I did not renowned.
Renounding success. Are you okay?
Ow, that hurts so much.
No. According to Austin, the first episode took off with renounding success. No, it didn't even take off with renounding success. It took off with renounding. You didn't use the word success. It was like,
I said it was a renounding success.
okay.
And that's not the right word, is it?
It's resounding.
Resounding.
Yep.
Okay. We had resounding success
Mhm.
on the last pod. We just wanted to thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the shorts. Thanks for subscribing. Yeah, I don't know. It went really, really well. A lot smoother than I thought it was. We got some good clips out of it.
Definitely some good clips.
And do you want to tell them about our little goal?
Oh, for sure. Okay, so there's a friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Mr. Wenland. Our old teacher from back at Filmland, and we DM'd him. We reached out to him. He said he would come on the pod, but with a little bit of a what's the right word? Stipulation, right? I don't think that's a word.
Stipulation. Actually, I think it is a word. I just don't think it was the right word.
I'm going to use it anyway. With a bit of a stipulation, and we'll overlay the dictionary definition of stipulation. I'm not going to make you do that.
I can do it.
Okay. Oxford Dictionary right here.
Stipulation.
Right here. Right there.
Okay, continue.
Trump
Keep going.
hands. Okay. Anyway, he says that he will make an appearance on the pod. Okay. He will come on the pod, but
There's a catch.
there's a catch. We have to get to a subscriber milestone. And that milestone is 100 subscribers.
And guys, we are a quarter of the way there.
We're a quarter of the way there
with,
already.
with one episode. Well, technically a test episode.
Technically a test
But
episode.
we should talk about that.
We will. But
We will.
So we had a test episode that has maybe 50 views. I don't know.
Yeah, something
Around
like
there.
that. I didn't really promote it. There's no tags
there's
on it,
no-
no thumbnail.
yeah.
It's,
Episode 1 proper did really pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with you guys, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I did not expect that first week.
No, not
Not
at
at all.
Not at all.
The channel's less than a week old and it has like 1,900 views.
I think it hit 2,000.
Whew, thank you guys so much. Thank you. So Mr. Wendland will be coming on the show once we hit 100 subs. Make sure you hit subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss that video.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, just doing the math in my head, 90% of the people that watched the last video are not subscribed.
Oh my goodness.
90%.
That's
Can you believe
insanity.
that? Can you believe that?
Can you believe that? So we just wanted to put that out there. Just subscribe and you'll get to see the man who influenced us to be doing stuff like this.
And he has a very podcastable voice.
Oh, he does. His voice is just immaculate.
Yeah. No,
it's soothing.
He's a lot of fun. He is genuinely, I do say, a friend of the pod.
A friend? No, like
because I didn't really. I saw him as a teacher, yes, but secondly, I saw him as a friend.
Yeah.
He was that down to earth, and he'd let you know how it was, and he'd give you input and like good input too, not just like this is bad, you know.
Right.
And he'd teach you and like, well, yeah, I mean, I hope so.
Yeah.
But but show you ways you can improve on your work that I didn't even think about.
Mm-hmm. He's not a yes man, but he also isn't just like, oh, this sucks, fix it.
Yeah.
He shows you the steps that you can do to get better.
And also like less experienced people, when they turned in their projects, he would encourage them and applaud them. Like even if it wasn't like anything crazy, the fact that they tried and they put effort into it, he would applaud them for that. And I very much appreciate him doing that.
For Mr. Wendland, it's the process over the product, and that's a mindset I appreciate.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
And I think his biggest thing, one of the biggest things I learned when I was there, because I was already going on with quite a bit of prior knowledge, and I feel like I was definitely kind of on a high horse.
A bit of a high horse.
Yeah, and I think he knocked me off.
Oh, yeah.
In a good way, though.
Kind of humbled you?
Yeah, no, it definitely challenged me to be able to work with other people and be able to show them, like, if they are not as knowledgeable, right?
Knowledgeable. Yeah.
To actually show them that there is a way to do more to there's more to the process, you know?
Definitely.
And as long as you're having fun doing it, I feel like that's what's important.
So if you can't tell, he's like a hero of ours. We really want to, I mean, we keep in touch. He and I DM. I'm sure you guys. Memes. He's in touch with the meme youth. It's really cool. But
what did he message you the other day? He said like, that's so Skibbity Ohio Riz or something like that.
No, I screenshotted it and I showed you it yesterday. But I put a Radiohead song in my story or my note or something, and he said, "Radiohead is such Skibbity Ohio Riz," which is like the worst thing I've ever heard. Anyway, we're kind of dragging this on, but the point is, if you want to see this interview with the guy who has really made things,
the reason this podcast is happening,
he made things possible for us, and now we just want to have like a moment of appreciation. But being Mr. Wendland, he's got goals. We have to get to 100 subscribers before he allows himself on. So please help us reach that goal. It would mean the world to us.
We have. I mean, obviously, we're going to take our channel how it comes. We're gonna play it by ear.
Yep.
Ideally, I'm just gonna set a record. I personally want to hit that goal before the end of the year.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because there is some Christmas-related things that we want to discuss with Mr. Wendland.
Yep.
That I think would make for some interesting conversation.
I hope you guys are ready for the Christmas season because we're gonna have some talk points.
Yeah.
So shut up. At least it's not a new record, man. I'm saying that.
Okay. Last thing for like just kind of this intro update
doing
section.
some announcements here.
Yeah.
Do you want to handle this or should I?
We'll go back and forth.
Okay.
So, friend of the pod, Allie, one of my good friends. I think I talked about her briefly. Is this not what you were thinking?
No.
Okay. I talked about her briefly at last episode. We're gonna have her on next week. That's we're having a little special guest. We're gonna have a guest on the pod next week, and we are going to be discussing our top 5 albums currently. That's important
because it's always subject to change, guys.
Yes,
always.
It's constantly, never being still, always changing. So we're gonna be discussing our basically our top 5, and she, like I said last episode, kind of opened the floodgates, you could say, for me delving into new music. So I feel like that was Only fitting.
And it'll be a really, because I feel like you two have kind of gone on like a musical journey together.
Yeah.
I have only come to know you guys over like the last year, especially you, but her like more recently.
Mm-hmm.
So my music taste is going to be like way more like
It's gonna
separated.
Be separated, yeah, for sure.
So I hope you guys can kind of like at least find some of it interesting, because I know it won't be up your alley. No pun intended. Hark. That's we'll get there in a second.
We'll get there.
So we're very excited for next week having our first guest on the show.
Yeah.
There is a brief I won't say it is a serious topic.
Yes.
And we won't get into it, but friend of the pod, Jake,
as seen in the episode 0.
As seen in episode 0, came to the difficult decision that he has things to prioritize over the podcast. There's a lot of stuff going on for him right now. He's a busy guy, got a lot on his plate.
And we understand.
We totally understand.
We're not mad.
No hard feelings whatsoever. We love the guy. We
hope to have him on for a couple episodes in the future.
Understand that because he's not a permanent guest as we thought he would be.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean he won't ever be here. I'm hoping he can guest as often as he can.
And we totally understand. Obviously, the plans changed, but as they say in showbiz, the show must go on. So that's what we're doing.
Jake, we're thinking of you. We love you, man. Anytime. Literally anytime. So
just ask.
Just ask.
We'll jump at the offer.
That's right. So we saw The Lighthouse in IMAX. Can I do like my 1-minute history of?
Go for it.
Okay, because when you get to talk, I'm gonna let the floodgates open, and you're just gonna yap for like 6 minutes. I'm ready for this, and I want to hear it all. So I'll just get in my word in edgewise right now. Shut up, edgewise. Bro thinks he's a comedian. So I was first. I don't know how I came to be introduced to the Lighthouse. Probably just like internet word of mouth. Like, oh, it's one of the best movies of the 2010s or whatever. So I watched it, and being an impressionistic young filmmaker wannabe, it like changed me.
Yeah.
It's a movie that breaks like, I don't want to say, people always say like, oh, it breaks all the rules and it does stuff differently than other movies. But this is like,
breaks the boundaries.
Yeah.
What's breaks acceptable.
Yeah, it really breaks a lot of like technical boundaries, and we'll talk about that scene because there's like a scene that I'm thinking of that is like, whoa, I didn't know movies were allowed to do that. But I loved it from the moment I saw it, and I rewatched clips, but I was kind of waiting for the moment that I could watch it again in a special circumstance.
Yeah.
And then when I heard they were putting it out in IMAX, I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. This is it. So I kind of held off on all Lighthouse content for a while. And then tonight happened, and it was amazing. But I'm going to let you talk now. Austin, what were your thoughts on the film The Lighthouse?
Ooh, boy, I was taking some notes.
I saw that. I saw that.
I might even have to pull some of them up. But
I have something to say about one of the times you were taking notes, because I feel like you might have missed something, but I won't. We can get into that later.
Okay. Just initial thoughts. Going in, so let me just phrase this. One of Jonah's friends was there, and we talked to him briefly before the actual movie.
Oh, we should talk about this. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys were just talking about how it is one of the scariest movies you've ever seen. Also, you guys have to come and realize that I'm going in with literally zero knowledge about what this movie's about at all. I know there is a lighthouse.
I felt jealous that you knew nothing, but also I was kind of upset with myself for not telling you what you were in for. Well, but I think you handled it all really well, and I was like, okay, this is okay.
Let me just run down for you all of the stuff I knew going in.
Okay.
So I knew that it was black and white. I knew that it was shot in a different aspect ratio. And I knew Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe were in it. And I knew there was a lighthouse. Whoa. That is quite literally all I knew.
Yeah.
And hearing you guys say it was the scariest movie you've ever seen, but not visually, but more psychologically. There's
a few other movies I've seen that have messed with me psychologically in more damaging ways.
Yeah.
But this one, those movies like linger with you. This one is so immediate and like a gut punch that while you're sitting in the theater, you feel like haunted or like you understand the gravity of what's happening.
Yeah, I also like while I was watching it, I was really anticipating and like I was internalizing what you guys were saying about it beforehand. And I didn't really get it. At first, I didn't really get it. I was like, I don't understand. I was waiting for it. And like, yes, it was eerie, but it really wasn't till like the last, let's say 25 minutes of the movie.
There's a scene. We'll get into this in spoiler talk.
It's the game. It's like a game changer. It like completely shifts the whole view.
There's one scene, and it's very fleeting and quick. And I don't know if we're talking about the same scene, but when that happens, it's over. Like the tone of the movie is like completely changed.
It's like a total like. In my head, like a paradigm shift. I think we're talking about the same scene.
I think
it just changes like.
It'd be interesting if we weren't.
It bends like for me, anyways. It bends like what's like do you understand what's happening anymore?
If we're talking about the same scene, and I think based on how you're describing it, you are talking about the scene I am. It bends what you understand as the reality of what's happening.
Yes,
because it's like, how could this possibly be happening? So now you're wondering, like, okay, is this a hallucination? Or but we'll get into that later.
Here, if you have more to say, I'm going to take a quick look at
my
notes.
Open your notes.
I wrote a lot.
I'll just say, so I'll just get into some director talk real quick. Directed by Robert Eggers, who is not notorious, like, in a bad way, but his films are, like, eerily historically accurate.
Yeah.
Directed The Witch, which is about Puritans being stalked by, like, a witch. And the way they talk is very similar to Puritans. Like, you almost need subtitles. I haven't seen it, but like, again, clips and trailers or whatever, it's like I do not understand what they're saying. We can talk about that with The Lighthouse. I felt bad for you because the first time I saw it with subtitles. It wasn't a problem.
I'm going to be honest with you. The visuals were really helping me along. I could definitely pick up words they were saying, and I understood the scenes. But there was a lot of the movie where I had no clue what they were saying. And I'm not saying that to be funny. Like, I'm being genuinely serious. I do not know.
Do you remember when Willem Dafoe was like, and the bartender in the... And then I looked at you and I was like, what did he just say? Yeah. Because I have seen the movie and I don't know what he just said. Like, and I almost think that's intentional. I think that the sentences you really need to hear are clearly enunciated.
Yeah, no, I noticed that.
Yeah.
And maybe that has something to do with the fact that as you're watching and you're going through, you start to realize like that the dialogue almost drags because you don't know what they're saying.
Right.
To the point where that almost puts you in their shoes of like how long they've been here. And we'll get into that too because like
that's
how long have they actually been there?
Yeah. And that's a really interesting point you bring up because you don't understand what they're saying necessarily, so the conversation feels like it drags, which gives it a slow pace, which kind of builds up the feeling that you've been here longer than you have been, which is like kind of creepy. But yeah, I don't know. It's so well crafted at that like subtextual layer. It's brilliant filmmaking, and I would never have thought of something like that. So Robert Eggers, you're the man.
As we get into this next part now, I feel like we're going to go and start talking about specific scenes. So if you have not seen The Lighthouse, this is your final warning.
Final warning.
This is spoilers.
We will be yapping.
We're talking about actual scenes. I'm going to start off with something light.
Okay.
Something I noticed pretty quickly.
Okay.
They're on this tiny little island, right?
Like it's so small.
In the middle of the ocean. And one thing that kept reinforcing that thought of being trapped, I think, was the aspect ratio. And I think it was most apparent when I saw this is when I wrote it down was when you see the actual beam from the lighthouse, it does a full 360 and the whole screen's black. We're seeing it in IMAX. Keep that in mind. And then you see the beam of light get cut off because the black, it almost blends in, but you don't notice the aspect ratio till the light passes through it, and you see where the beam of light gets cut off by the aspect ratio. And it kind of almost brings this sense of like claustrophobia.
Definitely.
And like the fact that they are stuck on this little tiny island that you feel like you're watching from an outside perspective, looking into these people that are basically going through hell, like being basically tortured,
emotionally and mentally manipulated and tortured. And
I think it helps that the screen in IMAX is so big, but yet they don't use a lot of it.
That was one thing. It was like, it's not anticlimactic or anything, but it was odd. Oh, I mean, I get what they're going for, but seeing a movie like The Lighthouse in IMAX, where the screen is such a big element of it, is kind of odd in a way. You know, obviously the sound system is like superior and stuff, but just the feeling of claustrophobia that you get from being boxed in, and then I think the black and white and the mumbled, garbled dialogue.
Mark night, hark.
That's one thing I think that can really get audiences feeling like upset nowadays, and that contributes to the sense of like anxiety. Because this could have been a beautiful color movie, but there's a reason it's not. You know,
it definitely puts you into like the period. There was times where I even like leaned over next to you and I was like, "Hey, I don't know if I've just been staring at black and white so long, but like there was a point in the movie where Robert Pattinson's his eyes almost look like it was what was he even doing then?
He was reading a book.
Yeah, and it was almost like he was noticing something straight out of the book.
Yeah, and I could kind of see it too.
You see what I was saying? It almost looked like you could see the brown in his eyes.
And that might, I don't know how well brown kind of like pops out.
So that's what was throwing me off, and I didn't really know.
I mean, you can tell he's got like darker eyes, like brown.
Yeah.
But once you mentioned it, I legitimately could not tell if his eyes were like colored or not. But I don't know.
I digress. So this is like totally random, and this is like random side note, and I mentioned it briefly earlier. And we'll just take a second from the Lighthouse talk. We'll come back to that. So I had an eye doctor appointment today.
The famous eye doctor appointment I've been hearing about for weeks now.
Dude, my eyesight is so bad. So after the eye doctor appointment, I'm like, I have some time to kill before we go see the Lighthouse. Yeah. So I was like, let me just look around. So I looked around, and there's this little like market, right? It's not really a mall.
Facebook Marketplace.
Not that.
Not that.
Not that. No. And it's like it just has a bunch of different stores in it. And I go in and I'm like, oh, this place is really cool. And I'm walking around and I see through the window, I see some turntables. And I'm like, I gotta go in there. And I walk in, and there's just a lady at the desk. She goes, "Hey,
all right."
And it's just like really quiet. And I'm like, this is kind of awkward. I'm walking around. There's so many turntables, so many sound systems, giant TVs. There is not prices on anything.
And that means one thing.
It means you have to walk up and ask for the price, which means it's one of those places where
if you have to ask, you shouldn't be shopping here.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
And I was looking around, and I'm like, oh, this place is cool. And this is actually a detail I didn't tell you. I walk up these stairs, and it's like a theater. I'm like, okay, I should not be in here. But there was a little bowl, and it had like some, like those little ball chocolates?
The what?
The little chocolate balls. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
They're like the
little chocolate balls.
Little chocolate balls.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I grabbed like 3 of them.
Are they wrapped?
Yeah. And the wrappers are like shiny red, one shiny blue.
Yeah, okay.
You can probably see them at like Christmas time.
Probably.
Normally. And I grabbed 3 of them, and I'm like, all right, this is my time to leave.
Yeah. My time has come.
I start walking out, and then this old guy kind of spawns behind me. He's like, hey. And I'm like, hey. And he's like, you want to see the theater? I'm like, oh, I just thought I wasn't allowed in there. So he brings me to the theater, and he's like, there's $40,000 speakers from Italy. And I was like, geez. He's like, sit in the middle row. And I'm like, I'm dying here.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is where I die.
This is where I die.
I have to say, besides being in the actual movie theater, that is probably the best like visual and audible experience outside of the movie theater.
I'm certain. I've been there, but so the place he's talking about, I've been, and like you said, there was no one there, and like I'm sure that they do enough business to like keep
Yeah.
themselves up, but like it's not a place for the common man. I don't
No.
know what I was doing
no.
there because I was like 14 when I went, but there was no one there, and the guy was nice enough to give me a tour of the whole place.
Yeah.
So I saw the theater, and did you see the big wall of like speakers?
Yeah.
Dude, he played a Polyphia song over the speakers, and I think that's the moment I knew I wanted to be an audio engineer and go into the audio tech industry.
That's why you are taking audio.
That's why I'm in the audio tech program.
So he played Baby Driver, like the intro scene of Baby Driver
Mhm.
for me, like from the open to right when they lose the cops.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a couple minutes.
That's a sequence, if
yeah,
you will.
no, and it was great. And he's like, "What a fantastic movie!" And then we started yapping. I started telling him lore that like I knew about the movie
Uh-huh.
that he didn't know,
Oh.
and I was like, you know that like when they like do a donut like in the alley as they're like skiing through it.
Mm-hmm.
That's an actual move that was performed in a stunt car, and then like the trucks and dumpster and everything that was in the alley was composited in after, like around. Like this is just some like lore I know.
Some lore.
Yeah, no, and I walked out 3 chocolates richer, and he gave me his business card. I am a 19-year-old.
I still
I
have
am
his
not buying
yeah.
$15,000 speakers from Italy. But
Well,
it's a cool place.
if the pod takes off.
Okay, bro. Dude, we don't even have to go to the theater anymore. We can get our own.
I know. We can buy a pod. You know how like all the YouTubers live together and stuff?
Oh gosh, dude. No, a pod house? That's crazy.
Oh,
Oh.
the smell in there. That's crazy.
Okay, well, speaking of compositing and CGI, I'm going to jump right back into the Lighthouse
Go for it.
conversation.
Go for it.
Okay, so this is one thing I noticed. I think I pointed out to you. There was this point when it was in the very beginning of the movie, where he sees the seagull and it's like blocking the entrance.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was CGI for a minute.
Well, here's that probably was, but the reason I was so tripped up over whether it was or not is because in the first scene, like when they get there, the seagulls are like so obviously practical.
Yeah.
Like the wings don't move, they just move up and down, and they almost look like play set designs from like a production.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of like
that almost adds to like its old kind of feel
yeah,
as well.
it unsettled me, honestly. That's a detail I
Yeah.
forgot about that really creeped me out when we saw it. But
So that's like one thing I'm pointing out is I noticed that it was a fake bird when I realized it didn't have its eye, and then also
Yeah.
he started like throwing stuff at it,
mm-hmm.
and it's like that's like a PETA thing. You can't like
that bird didn't have an eye?
no, yeah, no, it didn't have an eye. It was missing an
Ooh.
eye. No, I was saying like throwing stuff at the bird. That's like you can't harm animals on a set. That's just
Yeah,
like
you can't do that.
that's like rule 1.
Rule number 1 for anything on a film
Um,
set: don't harm the animals.
Well, no. It's like don't work with animals and don't work with kids. That's like
Yeah.
those are the rules, dude.
The reason I got tripped up over the one eye is because we're in spoiler territory now. You should have known that, but turn around if you're still here for some reason. At the end, when he's dying, he's missing his eye.
Yeah.
And do you remember what Willem Dafoe said?
Oh my gosh, that's foreshadowing.
That's foreshadowing.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
I just pieced that together from you saying the bird didn't have an eye.
Wait, that's crazy.
Wow. Details on details, dude.
Okay, so yes, I was thinking I didn't know if that bird was CGI, and that made me realize throughout there is CGI in this
Mhm.
movie.
The tentacles in particular.
Yeah.
When he's looking up through the grates and he sees the tentacles slithering, I was like, okay.
Yeah, but it's very tasteful.
It is.
It's not overdone, and it's used to tell the story,
Mm-hmm.
and it is not a crutch to help the story.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
it is used to show a director and writer's true vision,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that is the difference between a lot of movies nowadays, and it was fantastic. And that's one thing. Just because I'm saying, oh, I didn't know if that was CGI. CGI is not a bad thing.
Right.
The artists that spend thousands of hours working on these projects, I applaud them.
They deserve the hype.
No, yeah, I've dabbled in some like 3D modeling, and dude, that stuff is not easy,
Yeah.
especially animation. I can't even imagine trying to animate a tentacle, dude.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
It's crazy. It's like its own art form.
Yeah,
And-
it is.
Yeah,
its own
it
art form,
is.
and I think the way they used it was phenomenal.
It was very well integrated because the whole movie is like there's a lot of practical going on. So when the CGI is incorporated, it doesn't even like take you out that much. It's just it's so like you said, it's so tastefully planted that you just
the one part I noticed, I think this is probably more compositing than it is CGI, and I wrote this down because I think this was my favorite shot, and I knew you were waiting for it too. It was
it when Willem Dafoe was posing like a Greek god?
Yeah, and he had like lights coming out of his eyes, and there was two of the two Robert Pattinsons, and that shot was crazy.
That other guy, I don't think that was Robert Pattinson, the dead guy, but we can talk about that in a minute. But
no, he stood up and it was him.
Was it?
There was two of them.
I know there were two.
No, because he pulled over and it was a dead guy, and then he looked back and it was him, and there was two of them.
Yeah.
Two Robert Pattinsons.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. That might have been Robert Pattinson. Maybe I wasn't looking hard
Okay, that is one thing you didn't explain to me, that you said you were that random blonde person.
Yes. Okay.
Who is that?
Okay. And I'm not trying to like call you out here because I know you were taking notes to be like ready for this conversation. But if you're paying attention to the dialogue, there's a scene that they go over. Did you catch anything about Robert Pattinson's character being like ashamed of letting a person die when he was working as like a woodsman?
No.
Okay. So he let someone die when he was because some dude he was working with got like swallowed by like a rolling.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said that he couldn't go on with his old identity because people would know him as like the guy that let that guy die. So he literally went over to the guy's body and took his
Is that why he started calling him Tommy halfway through?
Yeah, because that's his real name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, and so it's not ever shown, but like you can assume that the blonde guy is like the guy that he didn't save.
I see.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense because I was very confused. Man, who that actually was.
The two scenes that like I felt like you should have witnessed the most. You were using the restroom, and that was the scene where he was like aggressively destroying the bird, which I know you heard.
I heard, dude. So I went to the bathroom once, and dude, I'm taking a piss, right? And let me just phrase that the IMAX theater is right up against the wall that the bathroom is. It is the closest theater to the bathroom.
Yes. And
I just hear. And then I hear like a seagulls in the background. I'm like, he is destroying this seagull.
It is like, so he has the seagull by the head and he's like smashing it against a rock. And by the time he's done, the seagull is like a string of like connected tissue. It's so messed up.
Can we just talk about the gore in this movie?
Yeah, let's talk about the gore.
You start.
Okay, so like the first instance that really got me was when he found the head in the crab cage. Yeah. Because that's the first moment of like true gore, and you're like, that's weird.
It doesn't. That's like partially. That's not the scene I was talking about that takes a shift.
Yeah.
This is where you start to see the darker tones.
Yeah.
In this
the scene I was talking about is the one we just mentioned with like the eyes. What were you talking about?
I was mainly talking about that whole scene, and actually, let's just go on a little side tangent real quick. This is just something that I thought was crazy. I wrote this down. When he's having his first big like hallucination scene,
the one where it like keeps flashing between multiple things.
Yes, and I think the mermaid was there too.
The mermaid was there.
Okay, buddy. Okay, the mermaid was definitely there.
The mermaid was attending. Okay, continue.
Bro. Okay. Yeah, no. So that was something that I really appreciated in this movie. That it's another one of those aspects that really puts you into the character's position, where then you don't really know what's real.
Yeah.
Because they never really explain. I mean, like, yes, he like wakes up, but like you still don't really know where he fell asleep.
Once you're done talking about that, I'll talk about the scene that did that for me.
So I think that mermaid scene and like just all of those hallucinations were what really set to me that like, okay, now they're going crazy. And you as the audience, you don't really know what's happening either, which I think I learned to appreciate that type of filmmaking with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind,
Mm.
that movie,
I still haven't
because
seen
it does something similar, not like exactly, but similar enough to where you kind of have to piece it together, and it almost leaves you confused, but not in a way that takes away from the story, in a way that adds to the story,
Right.
because the character is also confused.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
and you were saying, what was that scene that did that for you?
So this really only affected me this way the first time I saw it, but there's that scene where Willem Dafoe smashes up the boat with the axe, and then immediately when they get back in the house, he's talking to Robert Pattinson about how Robert Pattinson smashed up the boat. And that that freaked me out the first time I saw it, because at that moment anything goes. Like,
so I interpreted that scene a little bit differently.
okay.
I interpreted that as that was him getting back at him because they were talking about reporting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw that as he's going to report him and say that he did that because he has the authority that they're going to believe him.
I can see that. No, the first time.
But I also see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It can go either way.
Because at that point it's shown that they're because this movie's really through the lens of Robert Pattinson's character.
Yeah.
It's already shown that he's having some kind of like visions of supernatural things, so he might not be there, and he's at this point under the influence of alcohol.
Yeah.
So at that point I was thinking straight up unreliable narrator.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had just done all these things, and then hearing Willem Dafoe like say these things back to him, like he had to reckon with what he did or whatever. But I can totally see how it could have a more straight ahead thing to it.
And I like that you have the ability to approach it either way.
This movie is like legendary now on the internet for its. There are like so many like weird fan theories that I could get into with you. I don't know how much of time we want to use with that, but there's like a lot.
If you want, you can go into it. But real quick, I just want to say that I think this movie, first time seeing it, definitely an honorable mention. If we were doing our top 10s.
Yep.
I think it has potential to crack my top 10, but I think I'd have to see it again.
Yeah.
But it was phenomenal. It kind of almost reminded me a little bit, and don't make fun of me.
I won't.
Like American Psycho.
Okay.
Like towards the end of that movie.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't really, dude, you should watch it.
Okay.
Not like just for the culture as well.
The culture.
But there's like towards the end of that movie, and this is also kind of like in the book too. Because that was.
I read the first half of that book, and it's just so deranged.
Yeah,
I was
it's crazy.
It's crazy.
And there's kind of a point where you don't know what's reality.
Yeah.
And I think that you get a little bit of that in this movie.
The one takeaway I got from the book is that he loves clothing brands.
Dude.
Okay, for those, this is not meant to be a tangent, but for those who don't know, the book American Psycho, every chapter opens with what he's wearing and what the people around him are wearing. He like narrates it and then gets into the plot. But I'm sorry, continue.
I didn't really have any more to say.
Okay.
So what were these little like theories or tangents you
So
had?
I can't say that these are like one for one all the theories I've read accurately. Like, this is just what I remember from when I was really into the movie about a year and a half ago. My favorite one is that Willem Dafoe is the Sea King Triton, like manifested, because you remember that shot when he's like got the barnacles and stuff.
Yeah,
and
that was crazy.
It's like like that's him being like full form, and then he gets defeated. But then, of course,
I swear, full form would have to be when he has that Greek god pose, dude.
That
is such a cool shot.
That's like a Renaissance painting in a movie. It's crazy.
Dude.
Renaissance is probably the wrong period. You art appreciation majors can comment.
I'm not an art appreciation major, but I have art appreciation.
I took art appreciation, and I don't remember much from it.
It's not very fun.
We watched that Banksy movie, and that was the coolest thing we did. I love that movie. Yeah. Obviously, so remember my friend that was there, he was talking about how it's got like a Lovecraftian, like, I'm still trying to interpret like what's meant to be taken literally and what's not. I think it's a mixture, if I'm being honest. I don't think the siren's real.
No.
I think there is something to the seagulls, if I had to like pinpoint that. And it's just one of those weird movies, because like, you can talk about it this way, but then it's like, okay, well, they were drinking alcohol. They were drunk the whole time.
That is something that like you have to like really think about, because like it kept clicking with me. Like as they were going crazy, I'm like, you don't know how long they've been there, And that's like one thing that I was thinking about, that like, okay, how would your body actually react if you were surviving off alcohol?
Yeah, like the scene, the scene that cracks me up the most is when Willem Dafoe is having them like dig for the emergency rations, and it's just a crate full of like liquor.
I like when they're like dancing in a circle with their arms like
The dancing in a circle
The
with
sea
the hard
shanties.
cut to the slow dancing
yeah.
is like, in a way, it's like really unsettling.
No, definitely. And now that like I've seen it,
Mm-hmm.
in last pod I said that I thought it was a Call Me by Your Name situation. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
There is the slightest inkling, slightest undertone
yeah.
that there could be something like that, but then
The-
not really.
The one
That's
scene,
not-
it's not really there at all. You kind of have to be looking for it. But one thing I didn't catch before that I did catch this time, I think it's the first or second time they wake up drunk.
Mhm.
Robert Pattinson has to pull up his pants.
I think he was just drunk, dude.
Well,
I
it
think he was
could
just,
be,
like-
but like that. I mean,
Did you see the state of their room, dude?
well, yeah. After the tides flew in,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
But no, that I was thinking a little bit too, that like the concept of sirens too.
Mhm.
I was talking to my friend Ian about this the other day.
Sirens.
Yeah, and just like the amount of unexplored ocean. This isn't me saying I believe that sirens are real. This is me saying that it really, like, you really understand. Like, I always like knew that the theory of sirens came from sailors that were going crazy,
Mhm.
but this really shows you,
Yeah.
like, especially especially with the alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
that this could be something that, and he looks, Robert Pattinson's character Tommy, he looks for the comfort of a woman in many different ways through this film.
Yeah.
He looks for the comfort through his hallucinations with the
Mhm.
siren, and he even does, even just like one thing I noticed is like both of them when they were slow dancing, just like, or when they were hugging too.
Mhm.
It's not even like, that wasn't even like a sexual thing. That for them was more of just like a physical touch thing.
Like emotional fulfillment.
Yeah.
You know that
Because-
triangle that's like
exactly.
physical needs, emotional needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The
The-
hierarchy.
The movie is kind of moving into that hierarchy
Mhm.
because eventually the little statuette isn't enough anymore.
Yeah. And it
S-
starts going down.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's it didn't really click with me until about halfway through. There's this in the beginning when the two people walk away and then
Mhm.
the two go in. It didn't even, for some reason, it didn't even click with me until like towards like the middle or end of the film
Mm-hmm.
that those were the two people before
Mhm.
them, and that was supposed to be their role, is them leaving as well
Yeah.
as more people came.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of like made me think like how terrifying that would be because of the time period too. No communication
No,
at all.
dude. And that reminds me. Can I get into a little tangent here?
Go ahead.
Okay, so this movie is loosely based on an unfinished story by Edgar Allan Poe
Really?
called The Lighthouse. It was like the last thing he was writing before he died.
I could so see that.
Yeah, and the story is like 4 pages long, and it's written as journal entries. And so it's yeah.
Wait. I have something to say after that.
Okay.
You're done.
I'll yap real quick. It's like it starts like January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd. It ends on the 3rd day with the narrator speculating that something might be going on, and then that's when Edgar Allan Poe died. But the most unsettling like speculation about that story I've heard is that's where the story ends.
Oh.
Like he's killed or something. Like the story ends with him because it's written in journal form.
Mhm.
And obviously you can't write down in a journal if you're dead or taken or whatever.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of a cool like envisioning of this short story that supposedly never got finished. According to some, it might have been finished, but we'll never know because Poe is dead. He's been dead.
That reminded me of something.
Mhm.
And I didn't even know about this story or the concept of
Mhm.
journal entries as
Yeah.
like a medium of writing.
Mm-hmm.
But we had this is kind of crazy. My English class, I didn't do very well my first 2 years because every single time we had like a little poem project or something,
Yeah.
I would just try to write a movie. I would
That's
literally-
crazy.
That's what I would do is I'd write little scenes. And there's this one where it was supposed to be a poem. And shout out to Miss Koyman. She's not watching this, but shout out to you. we had I forgot what type of poem we were supposed to write, but we were supposed to write a poem, and it was supposed to be a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote my poem from the perspective of the last man on Earth.
Nice.
Ever. But in the form of journal entries.
Oh.
So, and it was, I still remember it being pretty good. And at the beginning, they were really consistent. They were day by day. And then as it would go further into the story, there'd be less journal entries. And I remember, too, I really wanted to print off the pages, and then the days that are further into how long he's been by himself, I was going to try to, like, age them more.
Yeah.
And that was my concept, but I don't remember what I got as a grade on that. I don't think it was very good because I didn't really follow the guidelines, but I cooked.
You cooked.
Okay, I cooked.
No, like, there's always a level of, like, unrealisticness when it comes to, like, found media like that, because you have to be able to tell a story, so you have to, like, tell the story even when it wouldn't be realistic to tell the story.
Yeah.
Like, i.e. journal entries, you know? So I think that the speculation that the Poe story finished with the character wondering if they're safe in this lighthouse is, like, that's a brilliant ending, if that's what he was going for.
Yeah, and even if it wasn't, like, it makes sense for the way that it's written.
Yeah.
Like, if it was in journal entries, you wouldn't get that satisfaction. If you stumbled upon those, you wouldn't get that satisfaction.
Not at all. Not at all.
Ending.
Yeah.
Because if it ended, they're not leaving their journal there.
They're not
taking it with them.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they died, they're not finishing they're not writing that down.
If you ever find a journal, it's bad news. It's
if you find a journal and you read it and there's no conclusion, you're cooked. You're cooked.
Somebody was toast in times previous. But yeah, I feel like I have so much to say about this movie and I don't know how to articulate it.
Can I briefly talk about something that's
Go for
both inside of this movie and outside?
Go ahead.
So this is one thing I just kind of thought of, and this is, like, kind of exiting the Lighthouse conversation just a little bit.
Okay.
There was, like, one shot of Robert Pattinson where I'm like, dang, dude, that guy's the Batman.
Was it the shot you were talking about with me?
Yeah.
I thought you were joking.
No.
You were serious.
When did this movie come out?
2019. Yeah.
That makes sense with the timeline.
Oh, and that sparks up the Robert Pattinson conversation.
No, hold on.
Go for it.
So the reason I say that, timeline-wise, and why that works is because I believe that directors are always looking for talent when they're watching other movies.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 years before Batman Begins came out, American Psycho came out. Or right around in the area of that time.
I see what you're saying. 2000s.
And there is, like, literally, that's, like, undeniable to look at that movie. Like, if you've seen that, I know you haven't seen that movie, but if you've seen that movie, it's undeniable the connections between his character, like Patrick Bateman, and Bruce Wayne. And I think, like, obviously maybe there's not like fighting. Well, I guess there's a little bit of fighting, but not like Batman level fighting
not
in that
like
movie.
Action sequences.
Yeah. But I think Christopher Nolan, I think he saw that and was like,
wouldn't shock me.
This is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And that's why when I saw this one scene, it was right after he got, like, done with, like, beating the hell out of,
he beat Willem Dafoe to smithereens and stood over him like dude, it was like a Batman pose, was it not? It was like, I got a little more uncomfy vibes than I would get from Batman. But I see what you're saying. It was like, I am the alpha here. It was the vibe it was giving.
Yes, and I would not be surprised. I mean, I'm sure there's also other stuff.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to think of his other roles that he played around that time that would maybe land him that role. And I think this is a good transition for you.
Oh, yeah. So I was telling Austin last week, Robert
on the pod, I think.
On the pod.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it this week. Robert Pattinson might literally be my favorite actor.
Okay.
And I'm just like, this is, like, highly personal. But I know I'm missing one. Good Time, Lighthouse, The Batman. I know I'm missing one. It's not Twilight. Don't even joke. There's one in there that I'm not thinking of. Oh, I was saying Mickey 17 will continue this, is what it is. But what a crazy run. Okay, have you heard of Good Time?
I've not.
Okay.
You want to run it down?
Yeah, so it's directed by the same guys as Uncut Gems, the two brothers, and one of the brothers plays a brother of Robert Pattinson.
Okay.
So Benny Safdie is playing Robert Pattinson's brother, and Benny Safdie in the movie has special needs, and they rob banks together. But Robert Pattinson's brother gets caught because he's not like all there, you know?
Yeah.
He's kind of slow. He gets caught. So the rest of the movie is Robert Pattinson over the course of one night trying to figure out how to spring his brother from jail. Or like get the bond money. Or it's been a minute since I've seen it. But that performance is like a powerhouse, and that was like the first real one where people were like, whoa, Robert Pattinson's crazy. And that's probably the movie that got him the Lighthouse gig.
Okay.
And the Lighthouse gig led to the Batman gig, and now it's just like this tumbling domino effect of like, well, Robert Pattinson's like the top actor right now.
Do you think Mickey 17, and obviously the little we do know about it, do you think that it's more likely that the Lighthouse landed him that role over the Batman? Or do you think at that point, now that he is more in the mainstream, that's just him as an actor?
I think it is just him as an actor because it's something. Good Time is a dramatic performance. The Lighthouse is a dramatic performance, and so is the Batman. Really, it is. But Mickey 17. Benny 17 is crazy. Mickey 17 looks very comedic. Like, very.
Yes, but I also think it's still going to be a good film.
No, obviously it will.
When does it come out?
They just delayed it again.
Oh,
it was supposed to come out this year's March. It's coming out in April now.
Oh, dude, what?
I know. Like, they announced it the day after we recorded the last pod, I think, that they were delaying it from January to April.
We gotta oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's all those pretzels you ate, bro.
Okay, dude, they were kind of fire, bro.
I could smell the sodium from my seat. I'll say that much.
But you didn't taste it.
I did not taste it. Okay.
We need to make a calendar of all the upcoming films because there's some. I don't know who I said this to. This was ages ago. This was before we started the pod. That I do think we are slowly entering a new era of film.
I think you were telling me about this. Sounds right.
I do think I've told someone else before you, though.
Yeah, but, I'm sure you have.
But I think we're entering a new era of film, and I'm excited for it. We are starting to get back to... And we were talking about this the other day, too. Someone asked me what the difference, I think, between movies and films. And I tried to explain to the best of my ability. And I think I landed on the conclusion that films are made for an audience. Films are made for the purpose of telling a story and just the love of the process in the art. And I think movies are made for money and for building a bigger corporation business. And this a good example of this is like just all of Marvel.
Yeah.
Actually, we saw that trailer.
I'm still not sold. Thunderbolts or whatever it's called. It looks okay.
It looks better than most Marvel movies that have come out in the past 5 years.
No, because they friggin' lost me when they played "Where Is My Mind" by Pixies.
Okay,
that's the craziest.
We should talk about how.
Let me cook. Austin knows this. I've ranted about this every time we go to the theater, and he still lets me yap about it. Movies that play like slow orchestral renditions of popular songs can literally go jump off a bridge. Okay, like the Kraven the Hunter trailer, Johnny Cash singing under like an orchestra. Yeah, boom. And I heard the man come around or whatever he says. Yeah.
The magical mystery.
We're going to get copyrighted for that one.
What can I say? My singing so good.
Because you're singing it so well. I could Shazam that right now, and it would pull up Magical Mystery Tour.
Oh, no, I don't like that. I really don't. I can't. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Let me just say something.
Cook.
I think there was one movie franchise that it worked for. Okay. Oh, you did not seem happy about that. And this is because I used to be a crazy Marvel kid. Just keep this in mind. Keep this in mind.
Okay.
Specifically, the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I think
Okay.
it works for those
Okay.
because those movies are so heavily. There is a lot of presence when it comes to those songs in the actual movie itself as well.
Right, but like my problem isn't that they're using popular songs; it's that they're like dramatizing
Okay, yeah,
them.
that's true. That's
Like,
true.
Dude,
that's
my
true.
favorite director is Martin Scorsese, and he was like one of the first people to be like, this movie isn't gonna have a composed score; it's gonna have like '60s hits in it for the whole movie. And I have no problem with that. That is sick. But my problem is when you take like "Where Is My Mind" by Pixies, and you turn it into like a slow piano, like do do do
How do
do
you
do.
feel about remastering a song for a movie, like if it's older, so it audibly sounds better and clearer, but not changing the vibe?
That's fine. I'm okay with that. It's like the aggressive vibe. See, like, okay, a movie that utilizes "Where Is My Mind" very well is Fight Club.
Okay.
Because it uses the original song in the
Wait,
way.
it's what?
Fight Club? Oh, we don't talk. Bro thinks he's a comedian. Okay.
I haven't even
We don't
seen
talk about Fight
I
Club.
haven't even seen it.
I only talk about Fight Club to just violently crap on it.
Dude, I'll see I'll see like reels or like YouTube oh gosh.
YouTube shorts.
Specifically YouTube shorts. No. And it will be about Fight Club, and it will be like the best film ever.
No,
And
it's
then,
not.
and then it'll be like 3 dots, and then it will be 5 more dots because they don't want to say Fight Club in the text.
Right, I get it.
And I'm like, that's so corny.
It's not even the best movie that David Fincher has directed.
What is the best movie David Fincher has directed?
Probably The Social Network or Zodiac.
That's a pretty good movie.
It's a pretty good movie, right? Like,
Yeah.
it cannot be Fight Club is so dated.
Mm-hmm.
It reeks of like 99, dude. It's so bad. Like, if there's ever been a movie that came out, if there's ever been like a 1994, 1996 movie that came out in 1999, it's Fight Club.
That was crazy.
The
crazy sentence.
I'm just like, don't even get me started.
What would you? Okay, roping back into the Lighthouse just a little bit.
Yep. Back on task.
What would you rate the Lighthouse out of 10, and why?
Oh, good question. So the first time I saw it, I gave it that 8. 8 felt safe. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. It is like the lightest of 10s. And okay, yeah, breaking news, confetti, banners. The Lighthouse is a 10. But like, technically it's flawless. The reason I say it's the lightest of 10s is because it instills a feeling in me, especially after this rewatch, that makes me not want to revisit it. And a 10 is usually a movie that I can come back to over and over and just Saturday night much. I mean, I've seen that movie 2.5 times.
You're just gonna keep rubbing that in.
I know.
Did we? I don't
And
think
a
we
half.
ever explained. We didn't explain.
We didn't.
Do we want to real quick?
Let's just not.
Oh,
Let's leave him in suspense.
okay.
200 sub. Okay,
200. If you want to know why Jonah saw it 2.5 times,
yeah.
leave a comment.
Leave a comment and say, why did you see that 2.5 times? You total stupid.
Is that a bad word?
I think in Britain it's a bad word. I don't know about the States.
I'm gonna bleep that anyways.
Okay. Are we bleeping stuff right now?
I'll bleep that.
So
Can't say that about the mermaid, dude.
I would actually really appreciate it if you did bleep that
You
out.
can't say that about the mermaid.
There was a mermaid in the film The Lighthouse
Yep, there was definitely a mermaid.
that had Austin feeling a certain way.
Yeah, okay, you can't say that.
I'm joking.
You can't say
I'm just jesting. It's all in jest.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah. So like a 10 is not only great in terms of technical craft, but it's like my own personal comfort movie. Like rewatching it inspires me or makes me feel happier or whatever. The Lighthouse does not make me feel happier. It just
No, it is a
inspires
dark
me.
film.
It's
Visually and just like
one of the darkest. It handles gaslighting in like scary ways.
Yeah, okay. If I had to rate
Rated.
The Lighthouse, first time seeing it,
Yeah.
it was a really good film.
It was really
It checked
good.
a lot of boxes. For
Checked a lot of boxes.
just visually too. I think
I was wondering what your take was on that, and I
Yeah.
knew you were going
I am
to
a
enjoy it.
sucker for black and white. I'm writing a short film. I'm writing a screenplay right now that has uses of black and white in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also love the aspect ratio. I think it's so unique, but it helps and it adds to the story. Even though you're taking more off the screen, you're adding to your film.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like the story, the vibe, the accuracy, the music.
Yeah.
Well,
one thing that was interesting, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go
but
ahead.
I think the foghorn is a synthesizer.
Yeah.
I don't think that's because it's like almost distorted, and I don't mean like it's distorted like, oh, the volume's too loud, the speakers are clipping or whatever.
We need to talk about that.
We will. We haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah.
We will. I mean, like, no, distortion was added as like a tasteful element.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. That's just what I'm hearing. My audio tech ears are perking up, but that was really cool detail.
Yeah.
And then there's just random like string stabs throughout. Like,
I love
bump.
that.
Yeah, it was cool.
So and like farts. There was
Farts.
so many farts.
Those weren't sound effects.
no
Those were
reason.
actually part of the soundtrack.
Those were also synthesizers.
Those were also synthesizers.
Just a lot of distortion.
A lot of distortion on those
no.
rips.
So, rips aside.
Rips aside.
I think I'm gonna rate this movie out of 10. I think it would be easier for me to do it out of 5, but if I had to do out of 10,
Can I guess?
go ahead.
Are you going decimals or no?
Yes.
You're going to give it an 8.5.
No.
Higher or lower?
I was gonna go a little higher. I was gonna go 9.2.
9.2. Look at this man.
I think the reason it's not a 10 is the same reasons you gave it a light 10.
Yeah.
I think it's because I don't know how comfortable I would be revisiting this. I feel like if I was to revisit this, I'd gain a deeper understanding for the story and I would appreciate it better.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would enjoy it.
Yeah. Which is like, it's
It's a
interesting.
shame because it is, but I almost think that like adds to it, if anything.
Yeah.
That it is so horrifying.
The fact that it is so horrifying and so powerful that neither of us exactly want to revisit it again for a while, like, is a testament to how amazing and powerful it really is.
And it's not like a traditional like horror movie.
I was going to get into conversation about this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of debate actually about what genre this is.
Oh.
'Cause okay.
Psychological thriller.
Yes, I see that. People say horror, people say psychological thriller. I've heard people say like just very intense drama, which does not make sense to me.
No.
It's a bit too heavy and like I don't know. Weirdly enough, it gets lumped into a lot of sci-fi. Like if you're ever browsing streaming and The Lighthouse is on something, it for whatever reason ends up in the sci-fi like genre.
That's odd.
It is odd, and I don't know why that is. I think it's much more comfortable in the horror genre or thriller. I don't.
I think it lands for me, anyways, in the genre of psychological thriller. It's more terrifying than majority of horror movies I've seen, just because there is such a long build up of just eeriness, because it is a fairly eerie movie, even when there's not anything like dark happening. Everything's just a little off. Everything's just a little eerie. The music, especially.
Especially their conversations. Like
Yeah.
they are so bipolar together. Like 1 minute they're like hugging and laughing and dancing, and the next minute they look like they're about to kill each other. It's frightening. It like, oh.
Can we talk about how quickly he took him down at that last part, dude?
Yeah, that was
He got hit in the shoulder with an axe, and he pulled
broke
it out.
collarbone. I guarantee it.
And
like
he pulled it out and threw it at his head, and it goop went
no,
everywhere.
he grabbed a tea kettle. Oh no, you're talking about when he like
threw the axe at him
yeah
and killed him.
Bro, like a little goop came out.
Dude.
It was
Oh my gosh.
not the gore conversation again.
Dude, I cannot tell you how genuinely uncomfortable him getting buried alive made me feel.
Oh, I know. I felt bad.
Seeing the dirt like go into his eyes and his mouth, and like just like the thought of being buried alive kept going through my mind. You saw how uncomfortable I was.
No, I noticed particularly in the last like 5 minutes, you looked uncomfortable a lot.
Yeah.
I felt kind of bad when he got buried alive, when he got an axe to the shoulder, when Willem Dafoe got an axe to the forehead, when the screaming, but we'll get to that.
That was so cool.
That was the
Actually,
cool.
let's just get to it right now.
Okay, and then when he's like lying
Oh,
split.
okay. Wait, actually, hold on. I want to talk about this. Real
Yeah.
quick. That is. Oh my gosh.
That's like single-handedly one of the creepiest, most disturbing things I've
He's
seen.
sitting like naked on a rock, and his like stomach is being devoured by seagulls.
I know it's a reference to a mythological figure. I just don't remember the name. But it's this guy's punishment was like he would get picked apart by birds every day.
Oh,
and
I know
then
what you're
at the
talking about.
beginning of each new day, it would start over, and that was his punishment.
Yeah, and it was
not
only like
Sisyphus.
2 or 3 birds, but it was just like
It was enough to make.
still the oh my gosh,
was-
dude, just the thought, and then also just the visual, and then you see all of the birds in the background.
Yeah,
Like even if you don't know enough about seagulls, you know that like
they're up to no good.
once once a couple of them find something, all of them,
All of them,
which is
which means like
dude, I hate just the
Which-
visual was so disturbing.
in a way, you know that the camera cut like seconds before it really got bad, because there
Yeah.
were only like 3 of them.
I'm
know
wondering
they're
how he
friends.
ended up there.
I think he crawled out. I think he fell, organs exposed, and like
Oh, you're
crawled
so
out and
right.
laid out and died.
Okay, do you want to talk about? You go on your little rant with
But-
the screaming.
The screaming.
It breaks boundaries of film that I didn't know were allowed.
Yeah. So at the end of the film, he opens the light. The light opens itself up to him, which is another conversation we need to have. Freaky as heck. But he looks into the light, sees something. I think he touches it.
Yeah.
He starts laughing, and the laughing gets louder, and the laughing becomes screaming, and all of a sudden the speakers are like,
The microphone is peaking.
the microphone is peaking. It's in the red. It's like so loud.
It's not just loud. it's peaking so much, and it's distorting where it doesn't even sound like a human scream anymore.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like
It sounds like
digital.
a foghorn.
it does. Well, a little bit.
A little
yeah.
bit.
No,
Yeah.
and it's just those are just like two things happening at once in film that like rules that I would never even think to break. One being the fact that his scream is peaking the microphone, and 2, the fact that it is so overexposed that you can't see anything. Like you lose the details
Even
in
like
his face.
even his blood is like blown out.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like as the scene continues, the exposure was going up with the light shining on him. So you like all that blood that's on his face, and his face is fully, like it's almost fully red.
It's
at the
coated in blood.
beginning. And when the light starts shining on him, like it just looks like his normal blown out like white skin.
Yeah.
Because the white. Whoa. The light is so bright.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Rhymer. Okay, so here's my question, just real quick.
Yeah.
What do you think is inside the light?
What do I think is inside the light?
Yeah, what do you think that a man could see that would make him at first smile, and then he kind of got a look of like fear almost, and then he laughed, and then he screamed? What
Hot take? It's just a light.
do you chills? Hang on real quick. Do you think that it literally was just a light, and the anticipation mixed with the
Yes.
disappointment made him go insane?
I think that those are the emotions where he opens this thing expecting like it's like what has this dude been hiding? He won't let me come up here, and then you finally open it, and the anticipation you see just a light, and you realize that you just killed this dude, and you've been stressing to get the keys to try to go up there the entire time, and you realize that this dude, it's just a light.
It's just a light.
and you are actively dying,
Yeah.
and you spent all of your energy while you are actively dying to get to the top of this lighthouse to realize that it's just a light, dog.
Yeah. Man, that's freaky.
And that
Whoa.
explains his emotions, I feel like.
Yeah. I know I've heard some like ideas about what it is.
I don't think it's anything supernatural. Because I don't think this movie really deals... Hot take, I don't think this movie deals with anything supernatural. I think this movie is grounded in reality.
See, like, I think it's a mixture. And I think...
Why do you not agree that it's grounded in reality?
Okay. Obviously, they're under the influence of alcohol.
Yeah.
But even then, still, there's things that happen before that aren't necessarily explained by alcohol.
Okay.
I think you were in the bathroom for this scene. But
I was not gone that long, dude.
you were not gone that long, but you missed a kind of weird visual cue that I don't know if it means anything. I might just be yapping, but there was a dead bird in, the tub. He like poured, it kind of looked like flour. He poured the flour in and then he stirred it. There's like a dead bird in there, and I like it doesn't mean anything. It just gives me a vibe.
I don't think that's
Something is afoot
supernatural,
here.
though.
But like it looked like strung apart, and like I don't. But,
See, here
Oh,
I don't. You want
wait.
me to, oh.
Okay. Do you remember when Robert Pattinson accused Willem Dafoe's character of killing his old wiki like crewmate?
Yeah.
Okay. What if the dead bird is like foreshadowing that too? Because there's just a dead bird there already, and then we see the dead crewmate like his head later.
Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know.
I don't think that's.
I see what you're saying. Like I can kind of agree.
I think stuff like that are little winks to the audience,
Yeah.
rather than it is something that is actually grounded in the film.
I think the reason I try not to take it as it's all grounded in reality is because that somewhat removes an element of mystery and fun that I want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when I can't tell what's real and what's not in a movie.
I think that adds to it, though. I think if you do ground it in reality,
Mm-hmm.
it adds to it because it makes you realize that these guys were genuinely going insane.
Yeah, I can
You
see
Take
that.
a look at the mermaid and be like, that's not grounded in reality, but that can be written off as that was his hallucination, and that was his mind, and he was hallucinating those things. And I think it almost makes it a little bit scarier
Mm-hmm.
because if you do have this like sense of like wonder in this
Mhm.
film, and you leave things to being a little bit supernatural, it takes away from the fact that if it was grounded, that this guy literally just killed this dude.
Yeah.
That this dude is a murderer. Like,
Yeah.
if you think of it like that,
Yeah.
then it adds a lot more presence to that it makes you think that, what am I saying? It's deeper, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
One other
It's heavier. That's the word I was.
One other thing that kind of informs me of this opinion I have of it being supernatural, I haven't seen The Northman, which is
Okay.
the movie that Robert Eggers did after this, but The Witch is very supernatural.
Okay.
And his upcoming film, Nosferatu, the remake of the vampire.
When does that come out?
I think Christmas Day. We are not seeing Nosferatu on Christmas Day. That is unholy.
Doesn't the Bob Dylan movie come out on
Yeah.
Christmas Day?
It does. But I'm busy on Christmas. I got stuff to do.
Oh, bro. Is that Wednesday?
Why would I know?
I don't know,
Wait,
man.
dude, it so is. Because my friend at the theater was telling me that The Green Knight is the next A24 movie playing in IMAX. And he told me it's playing December 11th. And 2 weeks from then is Christmas Day.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we just did the mental math. Look at that. I would like to go see Nosferatu.
I would like to as well. There's a lot of films that I think will keep us busy this
Yeah.
time of year.
Usually, like, this is award season. This is when people are trying to get their movie out to be considered for Oscars that take place in March. So,
Yeah.
like, it's like now or never for all these movies.
Which means that there should be a sense of quality with a lot of these films.
And typically you see it, like, the blockbusters come out in spring and summer.
Mhm.
The art films come out in fall and winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're kind of entering an era right now.
Mhm.
And
Oh, hello.
POV, you get a text message.
Can I just talk about something real quick?
Yeah.
This is bringing it back a little bit to the CGI.
Mm-hmm.
And realizing that this was more of an indie-ish type film,
Mm-hmm.
with a
Most
lot
definitely.
less people working on it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes that this hot take that can make a movie better, because
What will the CGI? Or the,
no, having less people
Yeah.
and a
It's
smaller
less
budget.
cluttered.
Because when you have a smaller budget, you have to cut corners. When you cut corners, you have to find creative new ways to achieve things.
Yeah.
And I think that's when the best cinema comes out, because at that point, then, yes, it's bringing you back to that difference between movies and films. Films being that you are trying to show your creative goal most effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back to, like, that dude that came into our film class showing us, like, do you remember the guy that came in? Were you there that day? He showed the gas station clip.
Yes, I was there.
That guy had an almost no budget movie,
Mm-hmm.
and he made,
It was impressive.
yeah, he doesn't have the CGI budget to blow up a gas station, real or fake.
Right.
So what this guy did is he is good with his hands and crafting things, that he made a miniature, and that, like, brings me back to, like, original Star Wars too.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
like those visuals, when people were seeing those on the screen for the first time, that's something they've never seen.
Blew their
before.
minds. If you haven't already, I encourage you to watch the behind the scenes for the first Star Wars movie.
I think I've seen a little bit. I don't
Okay.
know if there's, like, a long
'Cause
portion to watch.
the FX department really, like, sat around and twiddled their thumbs. POV, you're getting a text message. There goes your
I
phone.
just chucked my
You just
phone.
chucked your phone. But, like, they were kind of twiddling their thumbs for, like, the first 3/4 of production.
Yeah.
And then George Lucas came and was like, "What are you guys up to? I want to see what your progress." And they had, like, a shot from, like,
Yeah.
9 months of prep.
That is just, like, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is there's, like, a sense of urgency
Mm-hmm.
to it that,
Literally every other FX shot came in, like, the last 2 weeks.
yeah, you have to embrace the jank.
Yeah.
You have to
And-
fall in love with the process, not just the product.
Star Wars still looks great.
It still holds up, because that's one thing is I think miniatures will hold up
Yes.
the longest.
Forever. Matte
Yeah.
paintings, miniatures will hold up for the end of time.
I saw something, that guy that did the gas station thing.
Yeah.
I follow him on Instagram,
Mhm.
and I saw he posted something. I don't know what it is. It's probably for an upcoming project, where he destroyed a miniature of, like, a giant sailboat.
I might have seen that.
So
I
I'm
don't-
excited to see whatever that is, because
Mhm. That
that will-
sounds cool.
yeah, no,
I don't know if we saw the same video or not. I don't.
yeah.
I don't know.
But even, like, when you go into the realm of more computer generated stuff, there is, especially in the early days, like, solving things that have never been done before.
Yeah.
Like, people, like, artists creating visual effects softwares from the ground up.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I just feel like there was, it had a little bit of that in it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, because, like I said, the CGI wasn't over the top, but I think when it's not over the top, they're purposely writing it in that way where they don't need to use it that much.
Mhm.
So I would be curious to see some of the behind the scenes and
Yeah.
what in that is practical and what in that is
I own the
visual
Blu-ray.
effects. That's true. We were gonna put it
Yeah.
up here,
It was totally MB.
but we have
we
pipes.
we were gonna Fantano this situation and put a Blu-ray of the movie. Fart night. We were gonna put a Blu-ray copy of the movie on the shelf back here, but I left it at home. That's unfortunate.
We went to this hippy dippy
hippie dippy
hippy
baloney.
dippy baloney store, and because we were trying to find pipes for the thumbnail,
Yeah.
and we were looking, and they had pipes, but they were real pipes.
They were like $35.
Yeah,
and
the-
also we're not of age.
the lady was like, "What are you looking for?" And she's like, "Are you guys old enough?" What did she say?
She said that we looked like babies, which kind of hurt. That hurt my feelings.
And then we explained to her we just need it for, like, a prop for a thumbnail, and she's like, "Oh, we have these," and I'm like, "Oh, dude, how much are those gonna be?" She's like, "They're $1.50." I'm like,
sold.
sold, immediate buy."
Immediate
Fake
buy.
pipe.
Guys, look at. You don't like me lobster.
You don't like me cooking?
Yeah. You don't. That's one scene that friggin' is hilarious when
Yeah,
dude,
it's that bipolarness. you were
yeah,
talking
he's
about.
like, I know you like my cooking, and Robert Pattinson's like, your cooking sucks. And then he straight up like curses him in the name of the Sea King Triton, and like goes into a 3-minute monologue about how he'll like Robert Pattinson's body will dissipate with the water and be
Yeah.
forgotten by God and the devil.
That's crazy.
I know.
dude.
And then Robert Pattinson's like, fine, have it your way. I like your cooking.
One thing I noticed with like the food is like every single time too, you'd see like the steam coming up, and this is one thing I
Yeah.
want to talk about, like briefly, as we're winding down a little.
We
bit
are
here.
winding down.
That,
yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah.
But one point I wanted to get to before we close this thing soon is just the lighting
Immaculate.
in this movie, because when you shoot something in black and white, you don't have the color to carry you. The lighting is the most important thing, and lighting is one of the most important things in most mediums. That's why our podcast doesn't look very good, because I just have a light shining at the wall over there.
right.
We just have bounce light,
Bounce light.
which is fine because
It'll look gorgeous.
it's more chill. It's more
Yeah.
It's more laid back.
laid back.
I don't need it to look crazy cinematic.
Mhm.
But anyways, I just think the lighting in this film was immaculate.
Oh, it was beautiful.
A lot of it was
whole time.
they used the shadows as their advantage, because you're shooting in black and white. You literally have light and darkness,
Mhm.
and the way I don't even know it's just shot so well.
It is. It
It's-
is. It really. There's no way to describe what it looks like. You just kind of
No,
you have to see it to believe it.
and I'm wondering if, because back in the day before TV was and TV and movies were in color,
Mm-hmm.
when they're in black and white, they would do a lot of color tricks to help better portray over black and white. Like I think one thing was like women's lipstick in TV when it was black and white was actually green,
Whoa.
because
Weird.
when it shows up on black and white,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a lot more noticeable than when you have red.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious if any of their wardrobe or if any of the set
Yeah.
was a color you
Different
wouldn't
color.
expect,
Yeah.
so it would come off better.
Yeah, like I know what you're talking about. Like in the shower scene in Psycho, they used chocolate
Yeah.
like chocolate syrup because
Mhm.
red didn't look dark enough.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
they wanted like a real dark color to contrast with the white of the shower.
In this movie too, there's not a whole lot of in between. It is very dark and very bright.
Yeah.
So
Some shots were
yeah.
almost like indiscernibly dark, which isn't a bad thing. It was just like, did you notice that every
yeah,
once
there
in a
was, There
while?
was one scene where I don't remember exactly what happened. It may have been when he was asking him if he could go up into the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember Willem Dafoe's character was on the left and very close to the camera when it was very bright, and then Robert Pattinson's character was further away on the right, almost enshrouded in darkness. And
Yeah,
the only thing you
I
could
remember.
see was really just the white of his face. You
Yeah.
couldn't really even see his body.
Like the foremost details.
Yeah, and it's like almost like he's like being drowned in his own
Mhm.
like
yeah.
sorrow or guilt or whatever
You-
you want to call it.
Yeah, it was really interesting because in this movie, like when one character is well lit, the other usually isn't. It's like a power dynamic that kind of
Well, that goes back to what you were saying with like the bipolarness of them going back and forth
Uh-huh.
between that, and I think that there is something beautiful to be said with light and darkness,
Yeah.
back and forth with the two characters going back and forth.
will they, won't they kind of dynamic.
Okay, bro. No, that there was some crazy things in this movie.
Oh,
Do
I
you have
didn't
any-
even
do you have
mean it
any
like-
other like points or things you wanted to discuss.
I kind of just wanted to like retouch on that point. Like this, it is eerie for the first like hour and a half, and the last 20 minutes is what really will stick with you. Yeah. There are like specific shots. One of the shots that sticks with me the most, and I don't know why, is when they're slamming back the full bottles of liquor and the
Yeah.
camera like pans up over them.
I like that.
That's a good
I like
shot.
that. I like that.
Yeah. But
Go ahead.
my final point really is that this kind of makes me want to get into the other movies of Robert Eggers. I'd love to almost like do a ranking, maybe a Nosferatu celebration ranking,
Mhm.
because he only has 2 other movies.
Yeah.
Currently, he's got 3 movies, and one of them is Lighthouse. Nosferatu is coming out, which will be his 4th.
Hmm.
But the other movies are apparently similar to the Lighthouse. Maybe not so like mystical and mysterious. But
I think the takeaway I got from this movie and how this movie really makes me feel. First of all, the shot that really stuck with me was the ending shot.
Yeah,
What a shot to end on, too.
I know. Again, I think this movie takes like paintings, like actual paintings that exist, and just recreates them with its characters.
Which honestly is such a way to do it.
Yeah.
Because like, I can tell there was a lot of times when I was thinking about this, and this is something I didn't even mention, that like I feel like I can almost sense the storyboard shining through.
Yes.
Like there was a lot of shots in this where
It's the
like
black
that could
and
there
white.
could be shots that could be written off, but there was definitely shots that where they were like, this is the shot that we got to put together.
It's black and white. I
Yeah.
think that's what helps. It kind of looks. I mean, obviously, it doesn't
you're
look like
you're losing
paper
more
and
of those
pencil,
senses, so you have to really make sure what you do have is
but popping
fantastic.
off. Yeah.
And I think this just kind of the more I see the great films that we've seen this year so far, the more it makes me want to actually go make more.
Yeah.
You know? And showing that there is a space and there is an audience for movies that are not as conventional. Like I'm talking more about like the not necessarily a story, but I'm more talking about like the aspect ratio and stuff.
Right.
Like
It's very unconventional.
and I because I have a bunch of unconventional ideas, but this just shows that it can work.
Yeah. Like it's such a cliche, but it's so true. Anything you put your mind to, sky's the limit, kid. Like, go do it.
Yeah. Really quick. Also, I know we're saying Robert Pattinson's character and Willem Dafoe's character.
In fairness, they're both named Thomas. It's hard to like differ. I think Thomas Winslow is Robert Pattinson.
But
Thomas
once you
Wake
really
is the
start
other.
watching this film, you don't even really see it as that. I almost like I can sense the writer's vision coming right off the page that this is no longer Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
These are these characters that this man wrote.
Honestly, I say so-and-so's character every time we talk about a movie. I'm really bad with character names.
Yeah, me too.
Unless it's like Star Wars or something.
Yeah.
And I'm bad at that.
But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right?
I know exactly
Where
what you're
it's
saying. Like they moved on beyond them. Like they fully encompass their character.
Yeah.
Like they're
so
in.
well.
Yeah.
And if you are on edge about seeing this movie just because of what we've been saying about it,
Yeah.
I think this is another one of those times where we say you should watch it and come to your own conclusion. I will warn you. I don't think visually it is as bad as some horror movies.
Oh, not at all.
But I think more psychologically it's scary.
It's
if anything.
It's mentally affecting.
Yeah.
It's taxing.
So if you have trouble with that, I would maybe stay away from it. But I think this is a fantastic film, and you have to see it. If you're worried about like the black and white, you learn to accept it so quick.
Yeah,
like it didn't even
not
cross
even
my mind.
Yeah,
and I love like black and white like film and photos. So it
just like it really does put you in the time period. So it's not a huge deal.
And it doesn't seem tacky. They don't like throw a fake grain over it or something.
It's not like gimmicky either. It feels as natural as they could do it while still doing it.
Yeah, and I noticed too, like there was a shot where Willem Dafoe's character was like very out of focus.
Yeah,
and the cameraman didn't rack the focus. He just like
he did eventually.
Yeah, but he just kind of like waited for the moment. He racked it like right as like I think it was right as he started like laughing.
Yeah,
which was like the perfect time to do it too because it didn't seem like distracting. But it was something that like I picked up on.
Yeah, I did notice that. It's fantastic. Go. Obviously, I'm probably gonna promote this pod on my Instagram, and some people from the high school days know how much I love The Lighthouse. And if you're here watching this now, go watch it. Go rewatch it if you've already seen it. Yeah.
Man, dude,
it was. I am so like glad for you that you got to see that in IMAX.
I'm glad I got to see it in IMAX.
Because the first time I saw it, I watched it on a laptop. I watched it on Canopy, which is like the craziest way. That's like
I think IMAX is a lot brighter than the other theaters in there. Like the projector's a lot brighter, which is probably the most important aspect of the picture in projecting a film like this because
Right.
it is black and white.
It is black and
You
white.
need to be able to
Make
achieve
it
that,
out. Yeah.
But I don't even know. I don't have anything else
I
to
have
say.
nothing else to say.
Pretty content.
Oh, my brief question.
Yeah.
So you gave Saturday Night a 10. Would you call this
Did I give it a 10?
maybe? I don't know. Did you?
I think it was
gave
in the
it.
nines.
Okay.
It was close.
So would you prefer Saturday Night or this? And then my question following that, it's not even a question, it's more of a comment. I feel like we should create a board, like ranking the movies we've reviewed this year. I think that would be fun.
That could be like a New Year's thing.
New Year's. Ranking the 2024 films.
Ooh, we could have a little tier list.
Dude,
Imagine we had like a physical board tier list,
I
like
know.
Velcro.
Wait,
and
can you imagine if we like did up the set a bit for like kind of end of holidays, like we had a little rap
Would
party?
you guys like that?
Dude, a loud on set rap party for the year 2024. Leave a like if you want to see that. I'm sorry.
So what was your question?
Oh, do you prefer this or Saturday Night?
And what was the second one? Or is that after I answer this?
The second one was, can we please do a wanking of all the ranking? Cotton 4K. Can we do a ranking of the movies we've seen so far?
I would be down.
I'd be so down.
Okay. So this is such a tough one because they're not even in the same space at all.
Not at all. And a lot of people are like, oh, how can you ever possibly compare? Which I totally get. But also, I think it says a lot about a person's personality when they rank one movie over the other based on vibes. So I kind of just want to know, like, which one do you prefer?
I'm going to say I think I preferred Saturday Night.
Oh, okay.
But let me explain.
Yeah, please.
Saturday Night has that rewatchability.
Mm-hmm.
It is a thriller, as you said, about comedians.
I did say.
In a way that it doesn't disturb you.
Mm-hmm.
But for someone that has, like, a bit of anxiety, like, it stresses you out, but, like, in a good way.
In a fun way.
It's hard to explain. It's not just, like, a silly, fun movie, but there's just something. That movie resonates more with me than I think The Lighthouse does.
Yeah.
But I still think if I had to pick, like, overall, I think The Lighthouse is probably, I think it would do better in terms of, like, awards and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely.
But I think in terms of my personal favorite, I think I still like Saturday Night more. Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would see Lighthouse again probably one more time. I'd probably wait a bit.
Yeah. Let
But
it
if someone
simmer
asked
for a bit.
me next week, I would see Saturday Night again.
Okay. Okay.
So that's where I'm going to put that.
Okay.
That would be my third time as well.
It would be my third
Okay.
and a half time.
Okay.
That's a story for the rap party. We can tell that at the rap party. Wouldn't that be
Rap
fun?
party. I like that.
I like that too. Can we do that?
We should do that.
All right. Make sure you stick around for the loud on set rap party around New Year's time. It'll be fun.
Well, I don't really know how long this is. I'm assuming it's probably shorter than the last one.
Probably just by a little bit. This feels long.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I don't want to drag it.
Yeah.
If you stayed to the end, thank you guys so much for watching.
We love you so much.
We have so much more coming up, especially with all the films coming out.
As we said, next week is a bit of a break from film. We're gonna
And that's okay.
That's okay.
You should expect that. We want this to be a media
a
podcast, more than it is film.
multimedia focused podcast.
But we really like film.
But we really
like film. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe. It helps us so much. We're trying to get to that goal.
We're trying to
of
get to the
having Mr.
Wendland goal.
Wendland
Maybe we
on
could
the
have like a
pod.
little meter in the corner.
The
That's
the
what can
Wendland meter.
You know how they fill up like the charity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just like
The
color it in.
Wendland meter.
Yeah. We'll have
All
a
right.
little head at the top. Or
Guys,
something.
help us fill the Wendland. We'll have a cutout of his face on the top.
Yeah. Help us fill Wendland, guys.
Help us fill the Wendland meter. Okay. Anyway, I've said it once. I'll say it again. Go watch The Lighthouse. It's phenomenal. Go see Saturday Night. Half a time. 2.5 times.
3.5 times. All right. Thank you guys so
right.
much. And we'll catch you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Okay,
Peas
so-
in a piece. Give me the hot dogs in a pastry.
Hot dogs in a pastry.
Hot dogs in a pastry.
Fortnite.
Hark! Hark to a. We didn't make a hark to a joke.